Good time to dive into what we know about my boy, the battle-hardened Mandalorian, Din Djarin. Let's discuss everything we know about Din Djarin so far. Born prior to 19 BBY, commonly referred to as the Mandalorian or Mando, Din Djarin was a human male Mandalorian who worked as a bounty hunter during the days of the New Republic era. During the Clone Wars, Din resided on the settlement Akvatina, which came under attack by the Separatist droid army. In the ensuing battle, Din's parents were killed, but Din and survivors of the attack were rescued by the Mandalorian splinter group Death Watch, which resulted in Din being taken by a member of the group. Because of this, Din would go on to be raised as a foundling, which was a term used in Mandalorian culture for children who were adopted by the warriors of Mandalore. Din then trained to become a Mandalorian warrior and eventually joined the tribe, which was made up of the remaining Mandalorians that had survived the Great Purge. After the fall of the Galactic Empire, Djarin made a reputation for himself as a member of the Bounty Hunters Guild, the institution that regulated the bounty hunting trade by collecting bounties. Din traveled across the galaxy's Outer Rim territories in his personal starship, the Razor Crest, collecting bounties far from the authority of the New Republic. Around 9 ABY, at the start of Season 1 of The Mandalorian, Djarin was hired on Navarro by a client of an Imperial Remnant faction who offered a substantial reward of Mandalorian Beskar for the acquisition of an asset located on the world Arvala 7. During this mission, he met an Ugnaught named Queel, encountered the droid bounty hunter IG-11, fought off an encampment guarded by Nikto mercenaries before discovering his quarry was in fact a Force-sensitive child who belonged to the same species as my boy, Master Yoda. Although Din delivered the child alive to his Imperial client, he eventually saved the infant and escaped with the young Force-sensitive being into hiding, but not before acquiring a full set of newly forged Beskar armor and whistling birds. From there, Din fought off bounty hunters and ill-intentioned individuals attempting to capture the child for the Imperial Remnant that sought the child for unknown reasons. Afterwards, Din was contacted by the Bounty Hunters Guild's agent Greef Karga, who wished to make amends with the Mandalorian and offered to work with Din to drive away the Imperials who had since taken control over Navarro City. If he agreed to help Karga and the Bounty Hunters Guild, the Bounty Hunters Guild would drop the bounty on the child. Din agreed to Greef's terms and then recruited former Rebel and New Republic shock trooper Caracynthia Dune, Quill, and a reprogrammed IG-11 to return with him to Navarro and meet with Greef Karga. Once on Navarro, Din and his comrades met up with Greef and several bounty hunters, and the contingent set out for the city to prepare to fight off the Imperials. Although Karga initially planned to betray Din and capture the child, Karga had a change of heart after the child force-healed him following an attack from winged beasts. Din and his contingent of allies soon entered the city and fought the remnant of Imperials present on Navarro, who were discovered to be led by Moff Gideon. After having retreated to the Mandalorian tribe's covert, Din and his allies encountered the matriarch of the tribe, known as the Armorer. When the Armorer was shown the child, Din Djarin explained that the infant was responsible for saving him from the Mudhorn on Arvala 7, and that he protected the child from harm since then. Din was then tasked by the Armorer with taking care of the child in accordance with the Creed, and that the child was to be reunited with its kin. The Armorer also informed Din that his signet had been revealed as a Mudhorn, thus declaring the creation of his clan, which now consisted of Din and the child. The Armorer then provided Din with a jetpack, or Rising Phoenix as it was called amongst Mandalorians, which Din later used to defeat Moff Gideon. Din and the child then left Navarro, setting out to reunite the young one with its kin. And that's everything we know about Din Djarin so far. With Season 2 of The Mandalorian set to drop on October 30th, we'll get to learn more about Din, the child, as well as any surviving Mandalorians, maybe some Jedi, and potentially even beings of the child species. Fingers freaking crossed. But what are you most excited to learn about in Season 2 of The Mandalorian?